I want us to look at today is Egypt. When I begin to think about Egypt, I often think of Moses going after God's people, which was the children of Israel, and they were in Egypt. While God's people were in Egypt, they were there for hundreds of years in Egypt. And as they were in Egypt, Moses had went to a desert place to kind of hide out for a while because he had sinned and he had done wrong in his life. And as he was in this desert place, God was teaching him and God was preparing him to go get his people. And as the people were in bondage there, they went through several things in their life. They went through captivity. Remember, they were in bondage. And then finally they escaped. Now what I want us to do today, and I want you to focus on, your Egypt in your life. We have our own Egypt, just like the children of Israel had their Egypt. Our Egypt is a place where we have bondage. Our Egypt is where we have restlessness. Maybe we seem hopeless. We feel like we're unloved. Maybe we even look at a mountain sometimes that we have in our life, and it seems like that mountain is just not going to move. When you're in these places in your life, I can't help but think that we are in Egypt, just like the children of Israel. God's people were in Egypt. But if you remember, the children of Israel, they begin to cry out. They begin to cry out, and the Lord heard their cry, and the Lord turned, and the Lord sent Moses to rescue them. A lot of times what we do today when we're in our Egypt, we begin to look at the world for answers. We begin to look at the world as far as we may find friends that will agree with what we're going through and give us the advice that we want to hear. We may look at different philosophies in life. We also may seek different counselors in life. And counselors are good. I have not anything against counselors, but you need to be careful of the type of counselor that you do seek, especially if you're a child of God. But the cool thing that God showed me as I was studying this is God stepped into Egypt then. He stepped into that season where they see no end. He stepped into the season when the mountains were high, the loneliness was there. They were blanketed with depression. They were in a place that it seemed like this was their destiny and they were never going anywhere else. And I want to remind you, if he stepped into Egypt then, he can step into Egypt now. You may be in a place where you feel like the children of Israel. You may be in a place that you're desperate, you're loneliness. There's a mountain there that doesn't seem to move, it doesn't seem to crumble. I want to remind you, once again, he stepped in Egypt then, and he'll even step in Egypt today. And as he steps in and he begins to work in your life, begin to look at your life and remind yourself that he used Moses. Moses was not a perfect person. He had sin in his life and he had done wrong. But the thing about Moses, when he did wrong, when there was sin in his life, he would fall, he would stumble. But the cool thing about Moses is he would get up and he would go again. He would stumble and he would come to the Lord. The Lord would teach him. The Lord would speak into his life and he would get up and go again. So no matter what you've been going through in your Egypt, maybe he's preparing you for the season just as he did Moses. And no matter what you're going through, remember, Moses was not a perfect person. No matter what you're going through, God is preparing you to use you where you are. Someone is waiting for you to walk out in your victory. Someone is going to need your testimony. He stepped into Egypt then, and he will step into your Egypt now. You can do this. I have you guys on my mind often. Let's go. Let's go, Jesus.